Hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of my Eurovision Q&A, where I'll be answering the questions that I didn't get to answer in the first part, because I thought if I did, then the video would be a little bit too long, so I broke it up into two separate parts. So let's get going with part 2. Thank you once again to the people who sent me questions. I'm going to start with Sarah. Hello. Which year were you most disappointed with the winner? Well, there's been a few years over the past few years, not all the time, but sometimes I prefer the runner up or even third place to the winner. So, 2014, I preferred the Netherlands. I understand why Austria won, but I preferred the Netherlands. 2018, I preferred Fuego to Toy, and then 2019, I preferred Soldi to Arcade. So yeah, there's been a few years where I have been a little bit disappointed because I preferred the runner-up. And then 2017, Portugal, that is one of my least favourite winners. I just don't like the song. I've never even listened to that song all the way through. I just don't like it. So yeah, Portugal 2017, definitely, yeah, not something that I like personally. But then on the other hand, I don't think, I'm not saying that there was another country that I thought really deserved to win other than that. It was one of those years where I did have favourites. I think my favourites that year were Italy and Norway, but none of them won. So yeah, I just wasn't a fan of Portugal in 2017. And then all those other years, like I just said, where I preferred the runner-up to the winner. But luckily this year, I didn't have to be disappointed because my favourite actually won. If Italy didn't win this year, if I was talking to you right now and Italy hadn't won, then I would be talking to you about my disappointment because this really was the year for Italy to win. For me, it was either City of Bonnie or nothing. If France or Switzerland won, then I would have, understood. But I would have been disappointed because if Italy came second or third yet again, that would have been really disappointing. This was a song that they just had to win with, and luckily they did. But you know how much I love City of Bonnie. It's one of my favourite winning songs and just one of my favourite songs in general. So yeah, 2017 and maybe 2018, just a tiny bit disappointed because I really thought I just preferred Fuego more. Which year had the best interval acts? Well, 1994 Riverdance. Was that 1994? I think it was. Yeah, Riverdance is the most well-known, famous, the most popular interval act in the history of Eurovision. Everyone still talks about it, about how it was better than the actual contest. So yeah, Riverdance was a big moment. But in terms of more recently, over the past decade, I would definitely say 2010 in Oslo with the flash mob, the around the world flash mob. That was really good. I liked 2014 when Emily de Forest sang Rainmaker. I just really love 2014 in general as a year. It's one of the best years, I think, one of my favourites. 20. Oh, also, 2001 in Denmark, the interval act was Aqua. And I was too young to remember that back then. I was 5, so I have no memory of that. But I have watched it recently in lockdown. And yeah, Aqua's interval act, that was a good one. So yeah, I like that. I don't even remember 2018 in Lisbon. What was that interval act? I don't think it was very good, whatever it was. I suppose 2016, Petra and Mongs, the whole love, love, peace, peace. That's the popular one as well. But I'd say 1994, and in terms of recently, 2010. Are there any songs that you think are misplaced? So anything that didn't match the staging, or a song that you just don't get? Well, if we're talking about a song that didn't match the staging, or a good song that didn't have a good staging, I think Island from this year is a perfect example for that, because I really, really liked Island's song this year. It was probably their best entry in a while. And then it completely fell apart with the staging. It's probably the biggest disappointment of the whole year is Island having a good song with a chance of going through, but it just completely fell apart because of the staging. It was just, it didn't work. It was just too much. At the end, you could see all the props on the stage. I don't know if that was even supposed to happen, but it didn't look good. And she was walking on the treadmill and she sounded really out of breath throughout the whole thing. So yeah, that didn't work at all. I think that's a good example of something that could have been good, but was ruined by the staging. And if we're talking about a song that I don't get or that I don't understand why it did so well, I've got a few examples of that. So, Sweden 2016, they were the host country. They came fifth with If I Was Sorry, and I never understood why it came fifth. Why did it do so well? Why was it that popular? So that's one that I don't get. And in the same year, Poland in 2016, I remember that did really badly with the jury, and then it shot up with the televote. I think it was in the top 10, I think. Again, I don't get why that did so well either. And one of the main examples of that is Albania 2012. I think it came fifth. Yeah, was it fifth? Or it was definitely top 10. And I do not get that at all. I watch it and I think it's terrible. I don't understand why that was so popular. She's just shouting and just, yeah, I don't get that at all. Why that did so well. If any former Eurovision artists were to collab, who would you like to see collaborate? Well, actually, from this year, there's been talk of a collaboration with Go A, Maneskin, Blind Channel, John's Tears, almost with all of them in some way. In fact, I think the lead singer of Go A, I think her name is Katerina, I read on Twitter that she actually said that they will be doing a duet or a collab with Måneskin and John's Tears, I think. So that would be really interesting. I know that Måneskin were big fans of Go A at Eurovision. So hopefully they have actually got together and decided to collaborate in some way. That would be really interesting. What are your three robbed songs of all time? Top three robbed songs of all time. So sometimes I find it really hard to put things in order and make a ranking. It was hard enough making my top 39 this year. So to rank songs from over the whole history of Eurovision is really hard. So I have come up with three robbed songs, but just not in a particular order. And it's all down to personal opinion, really. We all have our own opinion and idea of what we think was robbed. So yeah, it's all personal opinion, but I have come up with three. First one is Bulgaria 2011. Not. I love that song by Polygenova. I think it's one of Bulgaria's best ever entries. It didn't qualify. And I didn't watch the semi-finals back in 2011. But I think surely surely that could have gone through. I bet there were far worse songs in the semi-final than that. Um, I have to, out of interest, I'll have to watch that semi-final to see what the other songs that didn't qualify were like, because I really like that song. The other one, and again, we're talking about Robbed. Does that also mean a song that you think deserved a little bit more? Um, well, a song that I think deserved a bit more is Spain 2012. Um, Again, my favourite Spanish entry, probably. Um, One of the best, definitely, in recent years. And they came 10th, which is great. They got in the top 10. But I think it could have got even higher than that, especially when you look at the other songs in the top 10 in 2012. Like I mentioned Albania earlier, that was in the top 10. I think, well, surely Spain could have been moved up a little bit more. 10th is still good, but yeah, I think even higher could have been deserved. And I think that was the last time that Spain were in the top 10, was 2012. Yeah, I love that song. And the other one, there's probably more that I can think of later, but not now. But the other one I mentioned is Finland 2009. So I only found out recently, actually, that in 2009 Finland were last. They came last. And I actually quite like that song. I think it's really catchy. And again, I can't remember every song from 2009 in the final, but I'll have to watch it again because, again, I think, was that really the worst? Should that really have come last? I'm sure there was something in that final that was worse than that. Um, so for a song that came last, I think it's quite good. There's probably more that I could mention. Feel free to let me know any of your ideas on that. What are your favourite outfits from a Eurovision contestant? That's something I don't think I've ever really thought of before. It's a good question though. In terms of outfits, the one that comes to mind is Estonia 2018. Elena, what was her last name? Elena. That huge dress that filled the whole stage. That's one of the best outfits we've seen at Eurovision, I think. Um, Also, I liked Molly, who represented the UK in 2014. She had like a gold, almost like a Roman Greek goddess kind of outfit. That was nice. 2014, Common X, the female singer from the Common X. I can't remember her name. I should know her name. She was with Duncan when he won. I know what her first name is, but I can't pronounce it. But the white dress that she had, that was really nice. And from this year, I actually really liked Samantha Tina from Latvia, her green dress. I love that. I didn't like the song, but I loved her outfit. So thank you, Sarah, for those questions. Moving on to Saul Brown. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce your name right. I'm not sure if I did. Apologies if I didn't. Many Euro fans complain about the BBC's coverage of the contest, but this year the BBC put lots of shows on Radio 2 to promote and celebrate the contest. Do you think the BBC are starting to care more about Eurovision now? So I don't listen to Radio 2, but I do know that Radio 2 do have a lot of Eurovision shows and content, and they really do seem to care about Eurovision every year. But Radio 1 is a little bit different. One thing I noticed about Radio 1, and lots of people mentioned this at the time, is that they seem to be more interested in Daði Freyr from Iceland. They promoted Iceland's song a lot more than ours, I think. And Daði Freyr, he's been really famous in the UK now for 2 years, ever since 2020. and he's really popular in the UK and Radio 1. And I remember there being a lot of complaints from UK fans about how Radio 1 seemed to be showing more of an interest in 10 years Iceland's entry rather than our entry from James Newman. And I remember as well last year there was, I didn't actually hear it live at the time, but I heard about it afterwards. There was apparently a comment from Greg James when James's song from 2020 was released. He had to play on his show, and he said something before. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something like, "Oh, I have to show you our UK entry. I don't really want to, but I have to," or something like that. And yeah, he shouldn't have really said that. That was a bit rude. Um, so yeah, I suppose you could say that Radio 2 do seem to be a bit more involved than Radio 1. But with Radio 1, I know that Maneskin are becoming popular, well, everywhere really, including the UK, and Maneskin are being played on Radio 1, both their Eurovision entry and their other songs too. I think they were interviewed on Radio 1 as well. So you could say, well, they do care because they're giving attention to the winner. As for the BBC in general, I think there's enough content, there's, just enough promotion. But as for the UK's media attitude to Eurovision, that's a whole other story, because the attitude in general is not great. It's very entitled. People say every year, "Oh, people don't like us," but I don't seem to realise that our song is not good. There's just a very sort of entitled view that people have, like we deserve to do well just because we're the UK, but the other songs are better. And in terms of actually picking our entry, this new BMG record label thing that we're starting to do now, well, I think that does kind of show that we are trying to put the effort in, but it didn't work this year. It didn't work with James Newman, so hopefully we improve a lot more next year. But thank you for the question. Well, I don't really know what the answer is, really. But thank you. So there's a few more questions now from Tobias, who had questions in my other video, but these came in later, so I'm putting them in part 2. So, do you like any song just because of a short part where a specific instrument is played? So, the instrumental. I don't think there's an entry that I like just because of the instrumental, but there are songs that I like that have got instrumental parts that I like, if that makes sense. So you mentioned, for example, a flute or a violin. Well, there's the winner from Norway from 1995, I think, Secret Garden, Nocturne. That song is almost all instrumental, so that's a good example of that. Yeah, there's other examples as well. I think there's Island, The Voice, the winner from 1996. That's got some great Celtic, Irish instruments. I love that. Also, the flute in Slovenia 2014. It's called Round and Round. I really like that song, and I like the flute playing as well. And City Bonnie from this year. City Bonnie is just a masterpiece in general, from start to finish. You've got the guitars, you've got the drum solo, the whole thing, both the singing and the instruments. Yeah, I can't think of that much more. I suppose you could say Fairy Tale, Norway, Alexander Rybak. That would be an obvious answer. Yeah, I'm sure there's more, but I can't remember them all right now. I thought of another one actually. 2014, Switzerland, Hunter of Stars. I love that song. You've got the violins and the drums as well. Yeah, that's another one. Um, yeah, that's all I can think of for now. Which Eurovision entry always brings a smile to your face, whether it be because you like it, or because it's funny, or because the performance is so bad that it makes you laugh? Um, I think that goes back to the whole guilty pleasure thing. So, a guilty pleasure that would make you smile because it's funny. So, again, Flying the Flag, 2007, um, Lascia Tumbai. Um, I'd say Making Your Mind Up by Bucks the winner from Norway in 1985, I think, like it's swinging on the rock and roll. um, wow, there's probably so many. Fuego. Um, again, City of Bongi. Hard Rock Hallelujah. Yeah, I've never really thought of that before, about which ones actually make me smile. Maybe I've never really noticed because you're too busy listening to them that you don't notice at the time that you're smiling. But those are some examples. And that's it. That's all of the questions. So, thank you everyone for sending me all those questions for the Q&A. Really appreciate it, and I'll probably do another one in about a year's time. Make it like an annual event. Feel free to let me know what you thought of my answers and what your answers would be to anything that we've talked about. So yeah, thank you everyone. So what now, I hear you ask? Well, I'm putting together my top 26 ranking of the final, the songs in the final. Hopefully that should be out soon, but you know, copyright problems, that's always an issue with me and everyone. And I'll be back soon again with reactions to entries from different countries, and probably a lot more as well that I'll think about at the time. So yeah, thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you soon. Bye.